Spiritual Tips for Meditators. Part 1. By Luangpor Teean. The Path of Mindfulness. Now I am going to teach you the way to meditate. Please relax and feel comfortable, because what I am going to teach you is based on something you already have in your mind. The teaching that I am going to instruct you in is based on something which is real and genuine, the truth. And the truth cannot be deceived. It cannot be deceived by neither the master nor the students. The master cannot deceive the student and the student cannot deceive the master, once either of them has realized or understands the truth. This is a technique that can be understood by everybody. All of us have mind and body. We also have mindfulness. Mindfulness is a quality of mind that we can cultivate and develop, but it is already in our minds. Once we are mindful or once we are awakened to mindfulness, all of us are the same, but if we do not have mindfulness or if we are not mindful, we are different. Meditating, especially developing mindfulness, does not require special time designated specifically for this technique. It can be practiced all the time in our daily lives. It does not demand special time, mainly because mindfulness is already in our minds. It can be developed through our daily activities. If we practice properly, we will feel that our lives are normal. We cannot practice for others but have to practice for ourselves. We cannot learn from others but have to learn from direct experience. We have to learn by realizing the truth in our minds. The meditation cannot be achieved from memorizing texts or reading books. We have to experience the reality in ourselves. For example, when we think, we have to see, observe, and experience the reality of thoughts, how they arise and how they fade away. These can be learned through direct experience, not through reading books or memorizing texts. What I am trying to convey is what I have realized from direct experience, not from analytical thoughts or knowledge of texts. This realization is based on direct experience that everybody can achieve or realize for himself. When we practice on what we already have. We have body and mind. We practice by using our body as an object, our body's movement. When our body moves, when our hand moves, we should just be aware. The hand is real, the body is real, and our awareness of them is real and can be cultivated. The more we practice, the more awareness we accumulate. This way of practicing asks us to accumulate awareness, until it becomes the dominant quality of our minds. Once everybody has total awareness, everybody will be the same in the sense that their lives are normal. But if we do not have awareness, we behave differently out of hatred, greed, and delusion, which disrupts our lives so that we contradict each other, preventing harmony and creating disunity. So, the point is how to cultivate awareness. The key to Buddhist meditation is cultivating awareness, and I am going to instruct you how. Once we understand and practice by ourselves, we will know ourselves better and live our lives properly. Now I will demonstrate. Everybody, please place your palms on your thighs, sit comfortably, and open your eyes. First turn your right hand onto its edge from your thigh, raise it to the height of your chest, and move it to your abdomen. Turn your left hand from your thigh, raise it to height of your chest, and move it to your abdomen. Move your right hand to your chest, move it out, lower it to your thigh, and turn it down. Raise your left hand to your chest, turn it out, lower it, and turn it down. Again. Please try to be aware of every movement, aware, not focused. Feel the sensation of your body. Just make it natural. Just feel it. That is the way to develop awareness naturally. Sometimes thoughts will sneak into our minds, just open yourself up to them but don't follow them. Once we are aware of our thoughts, we return to our body, to the movement of our hands. This method does not encourage one to stop thinking but just to be aware of it. In fact, we cannot stop thinking because it is the nature of our mind to think. We should be open to all kinds of thoughts, but do not follow them or repress them. Just be aware. With awareness, we will be firm and not react to our minds, either positively or negatively. This is the introduction. I would like you to try, to practice, to feel yourselves and see how it affects your mind. When you place your hand on your thigh, do you know where your hand is? Once you know where your hand is, you have already cultivated knowingness, that is to know, to feel where your hand is. And the practice of mindfulness is based on this awareness. When you turn your hand on your thigh, do you know the position of your hand? You know where your hand is, right? Raise your hand. Is it on your thigh? Where is it? Who knows the position of your hand? You or other people? Can anybody know for you? Is it only you that can be aware of where your hand is? No, 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 be aware, be aware, be aware. Do not force your mind to focus or concentrate on every minute of your movements, just feel every step intervally, and don't focus your mind to feel like a straight line of feeling. That's not the right way. The only thing you have to do is be aware. Don't analyze or try to reason what you are going to do or why you are having such thoughts. Don't analyze or rationalize any of your thoughts. Do not make judgments, whether this thought is good or not, just be open to it, be aware of it, with no blame, no repression, and no stopping, just be receptive to the thoughts. This will enable awareness to develop quickly. Keep practicing, keep doing, and keep being aware of your body's movement. It does not need to be the movement of your hand, but can be the movement of your breath. When you breathe in and breathe out, these are also your body's movements. When you walk, try to be aware of your walk, be aware of whatever your movement is. Be aware of every position, and whatever you do try to be aware of only one posture. When you walk, just be aware of your walking, do not be aware of your breath. But if you want to be aware of your breath, that's okay as long as you choose only one object. Do not use too many objects or they will confuse you. The point is that whatever thoughts arise, just be aware, and come back to your body's movement. Do not be caught up in your thinking process or your thoughts. If you feel tired or tense after sitting for a long time, change your posture. While you change your posture, please be mindful, don't change it hastily out of impulse or out of unmindfulness. During your walking meditation, you can either fold your arms across your chest or clasp your hands behind your back. Keep your hands properly, it will enable you to walk slowly with mindfulness. About 8 to 12 paces of walking will do for the meditation. Do not walk for too long a length or your mind will be easily distracted. If you walk at my speed, in 1 hour you will walk 4,000 paces. If you know every pace, you already have 4,000 units of knowingness in 1 hour. It will accumulate and can change the quality of your mind. Anyway, if you become distracted or you forget and become unmindful, when you walk or move your hands, that's okay. Do not blame yourself or feel unhappy when this happens. Just let it go and start again. When a thought disturbs your mind, let it be. Do not try to repress or suppress it. Just feel open to it. It will fade away automatically. This is the nature of the mind that we can realize through meditation. Now, let's try to experience it ourselves. After practicing for an hour, you may come back and we will have a question and answer session for 30 minutes. How was your practice? When you felt distracted or caught up in your mind, did you see the difference between them? Did you realize when you were caught up in your thoughts? Did you see the difference when you came back to your body's movement, or became aware of the movement of your hands or walking? Once you did that, did you see that the thoughts just ceased or passed away? When you are caught up in your thoughts or overwhelmed by emotions, you may forget to move your hand, or you may move it but have no full awareness of your body. That's okay, but try to return to your hand's movement or to your walk. Once you are aware of your body's movement, you are already a practitioner. A Dhamma practitioner develops awareness. This is the only duty of the practitioner. The same goes for feeling. If you feel tense, physical pain, or tired, do not be overwhelmed by the unpleasant feelings. Just come back to your body's movement or just be aware and see the painful feelings. In other words, don't become lost, caught up in or overwhelmed by these unpleasant feelings, but be aware. Awareness will enable your mind and your life to go ahead without being interrupted by thoughts or feelings or any kind of disturbance. Thoughts will arise, feelings will disturb you, but if you have total awareness, you can go ahead without being stopped or blocked by these hindrances. You will go ahead, go straight ahead. For beginners, just cultivating awareness is enough. Do not try to achieve or gain anything. Do not expect any realization, any insight, or wisdom from the practice. Just awareness is enough for you at the present stage, and it will enable you to go ahead without any problems or difficulties. For the beginners, you may not sit longer if you wish, and the awareness may develop slowly, not smoothly. That's okay. Just try to keep practicing, and this will enable mindfulness or awareness to develop. Do not feel bad when you feel you are caught up in your thoughts, or in pleasant or unpleasant feelings, or you become forgetful of the practice. That's okay. Do not blame yourself. Do not feel depressed. Just come back to the practice, come back to be aware of your body's movement. When you keep practice, you keep accumulating awareness. You will begin to see, to realize, the nature of your mind. You will see that thought are one thing and mindfulness is another. The thoughts or feelings are not you, not yours, not me, nor mine. Previously, you may have thought that the thoughts are your thoughts, but in fact, they are not your thoughts. The thoughts are just there, but they are not yours. And this you can see, because of mindfulness. Mindfulness will separate you from the thought, so you can observe the thought without being identified with it, or take it to be you or yours. In the sutra, the Buddha advises us to contemplate, to be aware of body, feelings, and mind or the thoughts. These three aspects, body, feeling, and thoughts, are already with us, they are not something outside of us. We can use them for our spiritual well-being. In the past, when we wanted to stand up, we stood up instantly out of habit. But if we practice and develop mindfulness, before standing up, we will be aware of the desire to stand up. Thus we will stand up mindfully. We can apply this approach or this attitude to whatever activity we do, and our lives will be on the path to mindfulness. Meditation's priority is to develop awareness first. It is the crucial factor that needs to be developed during the practice. This is important because we are already good at analytical thinking. But we have to practice another quality of the mind, awareness. It will lead us to a realization through direct experience, that cannot be achieved through thoughts or the analytical mind. Any questions? If you want to ask, please ask based upon the experience that you have already had from your practice in the past few hours. Do not ask through the analytical mind. Question: the mind that gives rise to thought, the mind that's mindful, and the mind that is aware, are these minds the same? Answer: practically speaking, you can see the three. You can see the scattered thoughts, or you can observe the mind. This can happen when you are aware of your body. When you are aware of your body and a thought arises, your mindfulness will come and watch and be aware of your thoughts. You can see the difference, differentiate between your thoughts and mindfulness or awareness. Without being aware of your body's movement first, it is difficult to see the difference between your thoughts and your mind. Question: when you observe a thought, is the thought in the past? Answer: once you are aware of a random thought, it is in the past, but if you are not aware of it, it is the present. The random or unintentional thought is the kamma, a kind of action, a mental action that can lead to other consequences. either good or bad. If you become aware of it, awareness will halt that mental action, thus getting rid of whatever consequences that might have happened. Question: is this practice of using your body as a meditative object for the training of samadhi? Answer: the awareness can lead to calmness, if you are caught up in or dwell on the calmness that is the samatha, calmness meditation. But if you lift your mind from the calmness and observe the calmness, then it is insight meditation. So it depends on how you deal with calmness. If you dwell in the calmness, it is a calmness meditation. If you observe the calmness, it will lead to insight meditation. Question: is this awareness the same as the Buddha's? Answer: the awareness mentioned above is the same as the quality of Buddhahood. It will lead to total insight. This kind of practice also includes the threefold training: morality, concentration, and wisdom. Question: do you mean that awareness includes threefold training? Answer: the threefold training is not awareness itself, but is based on awareness. You cannot keep precepts without awareness. Awareness will enable you to keep the precepts, sila. And awareness will enable you to develop concentration, samadhi, and to gain insight, panya. We need not waste time developing sila, samadhi, panya by different ways, but go directly to develop awareness, then sila, samadhi, panya will take place. According to the Buddhist canon, the Buddha said, self-awareness is the origin of wisdom, the parent, the source of righteousness. But unknowingness or unawareness is the source or the parent of all evils. Question: nowadays, young children seem to be practicing awareness all the time. Even we, when we are exposed to something new, seem to be more aware. It seems as if we come to this world practicing awareness, then we start thinking, then we have the same thoughts over and over, and that turns off our awareness. Why is this happening? Answer: it is because we have eyes, nose, ears, mouth, and body, the 5 sensual bases, and mind, the 6th base, to understand the world. We use these 6 bases to have contact with the world, and this leads us to a lot of concocted mind. We think a lot because we have a lot of contact with the outside world. That's why our minds become busy and keep thinking all the time. We ignore another quality of the mind, awareness. That's why we have to come back again, because we have ignored it for such a long time. We have occupied ourselves with thinking, because of our contact with the outside world through the 5 sensual bases. Awareness will liberate us from all unpleasant events and unfetter our minds. It will liberate us from all hindrances and fetters. I can assure you that awareness will rescue our lives. Regardless of nationality or race, we can be united. Regardless of our differences, we have one thing in common: awareness. Awareness is in every person. So, I would like to encourage you to develop awareness, so that we will go beyond nationality and race. After the practice, do you feel that you can get in touch with awareness, the awareness in your mind? It is an quality inherent in you, that leads you to get in touch with it. Question: it's very hard to slow my mind down. Answer: we are not going to stop the thinking process, we are not going to fight it. If you fight it, you are going to be tired, because it is very difficult. Just to be aware of it, just observe it, and it will pass away on its own. Do not try to get rid of it. If you try to get rid of it, you will feel exhausted. Sometimes, you may find your mind was more scattered during the practice than during your normal daily life. The more you practice, the more your mind is scattered. Sometimes this happens to practitioners, but that's normal. Just be aware of it and ignore it, and try to be aware of your body's movement. The more you keep coming back, the more awareness will accumulate. Just keep coming back. Do not try to fight your thoughts. June 1, 1997. Cultivating awareness. The Buddha said that there are 5 hindrances to meditation. The first is drowsiness, the second is agitation or restlessness, the third is doubt, the fourth is sensual desire, and the last is ill will, hatred, or irritation. Doubt means that one feels uncertain, whether the practice is right or wrong, so he just stays on the edge, and cannot commit himself to any kind of practice. You may encounter any of the 5 hindrances. That's alright, it's even beneficial. Try to observe the hindrance rather than following it, or being overwhelmed by it. To observe is to keep your mind from identifying with these 5 hindrances. For example, when you feel sleepy, instead of lying down and following the drowsiness, just try to observe it, and the awareness will lift your mind from being drowsy. Thus you can learn how to interact with restlessness, or with agitation. They are not bad. They can teach. Yet, there are people who, with total awareness in their minds, can go straight through their practice without being caught up in, or dwelling on the 5 hindrances. Awareness not only helps us overcome the 5 hindrances, but will also lead us beyond delusion to insight, or wisdom. When one is unmindful, unaware, or becomes caught up in one's thoughts, one cannot see things clearly and is overwhelmed by delusion. Yet once one becomes aware or free from the 5 hindrances, one can go further to experience insight. Because one accumulates awareness all the time, and awareness enables one to see things as they are, not distorted by bias or scattered thoughts, so that one can achieve insight. The insight that can be experienced from this method of meditation is the insight into the body and mind. You can see that the sense of us or me, in fact, is only the combination of body and mind. You will understand the nature of rupa, the form or body, and nama, the mind. You will see how they interact with each other. With this insight you will have a clear understanding that goes beyond the concept of me and mine, just body and mind, not the sense of self. With the insight into body and mind, you will know and be able to differentiate between thoughts and awareness. So far, you cannot differentiate between these two because they come together, but if you have insight from awareness, the thoughts and the one who thinks or observes can be differentiated. Such realization or such direct experience is what we call wisdom, because it liberates us from hindrances and suffering. It is wisdom, and at the same time it is magga, the path. It is both the path and the end, the wisdom. If you practice properly, you will see that at the beginning it is mindfulness, in the middle it is mindfulness, and at the end it is also mindfulness. It is both means and end, path and wisdom. What I just said is quite ahead of you. It is a state that you may not have experienced yet, but I wanted to inform you of what you are going to realize, if you practice properly and continuously. Please try to concern yourselves with what you are practicing now. Just be aware, and once you keep practicing, results will come on their own without any attempt on your part. Therefore, put your effort into the practice. Awareness from this practice will get rid of delusion. The more you are aware, the less you are unaware. Unawareness is identical to delusion or ignorance. If you accumulate awareness through this method, it will form a solid base for keeping moral precepts, for concentration, and for wisdom. You will live your life morally once you have full awareness. At the same time, you will also have calmness or concentration, once you are fully aware of what you are doing. Meanwhile, insight can take place with awareness. Thus, awareness can lead us to the totality of life, the totality of education or training. Awareness or mindfulness enables us to awaken. An enlightened one is one who has total awareness, total mindfulness. Buddha said many times that the Arahant, the enlightened one, is one who has full mindfulness and awareness in every moment of his life. His experience is like traveling in a freeway on which he can move ahead without any obstructions. Mindfulness is like this: you are not caught up in any thoughts, but move straight ahead in your life. You can learn a lot from this practice. You can understand a lot of things in Luangpor Teean's mind. It is as if your life is the texts, your practice is the texts, and you can gain a lot of knowledge from it. Your experience is the source of knowledge that will enrich you. I would like to persuade you to see for yourself. Try to see it, experience it, and it is within your capability to understand it. I would like to encourage you to learn more and more from the practice. This is not some kind of propaganda or an advertisement, but just an encouragement. Practice like this is sort of forming a new habit of awareness. Right now, we have the habit of unawareness, of doing things out of habit without awareness, but if we accumulate awareness, a new habit will be formed, and whatever we do, after we practice properly, we will be aware of our daily movements. But if we do not practice, we will easily fall back to delusion, to our forgetful habits. So, please try to accumulate awareness and try to be mindful. Another point that I would like to emphasize is that, awareness is not a quality confined to myself or monopolized by anyone. It's a quality inherent in all of you. You are all capable of increasing and developing your mindfulness, not only in this room but also in your daily lives. That's all I would like to share with you. The only thing you should do is to realize it yourselves. What I talked about is not for you to memorize but for you to experience yourselves through practice. Both of us will stay here for more than a month. Should you have any problems, please come and talk with us. Question: awareness is not limited to our hands movements only, right? Can it be expanded to things like scratching itches? Answer: that's right. Whatever you do, whether coarse or subtle, breathing or swallowing saliva, or even when you just raise your hand to get something, be mindful. Just be aware of whatever you are doing. That's the proper way to practice. Question: if one moves without awareness, is that ignorance? Answer: yes, that is a kind of ignorance. There are many kinds of ignorance. The most fundamental ignorance is of the things that cause suffering to you, whatever kind of thoughts or understanding that troubles you, or creates suffering for you. Question: the Buddha's awareness is the same awareness that we are talking about, except his awareness is continuous, right? Answer: yes, it is the same, but the awareness of the Buddha is not only continuous, but is also awareness in its totality, awareness that replaces ignorance to the extent that there is no residual of ignorance left. But for us, we still have ignorance, our awareness still broken. Question: what is the difference between the awareness of Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, and Arahant? Answer: the awareness of these four enlightened beings are different in terms of degree, and also in terms of quality. The first stage of enlightened being, Sotapanna, has awareness that can get rid of the strong sense of self and uncertainty. The second stage of enlightened one, Sakadagami, can eradicate sensual desire and repulsion almost completely. For the Anagami, sensual desire and repulsion are eliminated completely. It is the different degrees of awareness that leads to different qualities. It is as though we are climbing up a ladder. In the first stage of enlightenment, the awareness is less powerful than that of the Arahant, or the last stage of enlightenment. For example, when we get angry at something, we will think about it over and over again. But for the enlightened one, especially the third one, Anagami, once anger occurs, it just happens and he can let go of it. It just occurs one time and then he goes beyond the anger. Anger is eradicated by total awareness, or wisdom. It's like a heated iron, once we touch it, we should feel the heat and never touch it again. For the enlightened one, anger is like a hot iron, once he touches it, he is aware of the heat from his anger, and will never return to and identify with it again. But ordinary people, not aware that anger is like a heated iron, just touch it over and over again without realizing that it is very harmful. The awareness that I mentioned, is the awareness that can enable us to see no self in the body, no self in feelings, no self in emotions, no self in thoughts. It is the awareness that can liberate us from suffering. Please do not just accept what I told you, see it for yourselves and practice until you can know it for yourselves. Then nobody can deceive you, nobody can mislead you, because you have already experienced it. What we should do is pay respect to the Dhamma, the highest refuge. You should not pay highest respect to me or to anybody else, but to the Dhamma that is already in everybody. Please pay respect to the Dhamma in ourselves. Be aware at every moment. When you go home, Try to maintain your awareness at all times. June 1, 1997. Knowing yourself. As I told you earlier, all of us are friends even though we have just met here, because we have been friends since our birth into this world. In Buddhism, friend has a broad meaning. All of us are friends because we are sentient beings. We all share the cyclic existence, all of us share birth, decay, aging, and, finally death as human beings. That is why we are all friends. Another thing that we have in common is that each of us has body and mind. Each of us has common characteristics. We all have 6 senses fields, we all have feelings, we all have emotions, and all of our mental activities and our physical bodies are subject to the same characteristics: impermanence, suffering, and no real self, no permanent self. These are the 3 common characteristics that all of us share. But there is something that makes us different from each other. That is our mental formations. We have different ideas, we have different opinions, we respond to our surroundings in different ways. It is our mental formations that makes us different from each other. However, these mental formations can be transformed, making us one, the same as a person. Previously, I said to many of us here that, despite our different characteristics, although there are various kinds of people, we can be the same if we have mindfulness. If mindfulness prevails in our lives, we will be the same, but it will be different if unawareness or unmindfulness prevail, because they make us behave differently and perversely. Anyway, I would like everyone here to feel comfortable when you are listening to Dhamma. You should feel comfortable because I am going to speak about what you already have: mindfulness, calmness, clear comprehension, and self-awareness. All of these qualities are already present in your mind. I would like to take this opportunity to share my experience of how to be one with the Dhamma, to apply and integrate Dhamma, or the truth, into our lives. 3 years ago, when I first came here, a Western student asked me, "What brings you here? What do you know? What knowledge do you bring with yourself?" I replied that the only knowledge that I have is knowledge of myself. I just know myself. So, he asked, "What do you mean by knowing yourself?" Instead of giving him the answer, I demonstrated by turning my hand on my thigh and resting it there. Then I asked, "Have you ever been aware of yourself while you rest your hand continuously for 7 days? Have you ever had that experience of knowing yourself, of being aware of yourself for 7 days?" He said, "No, I cannot do that, I do not have such experience." So I persuaded him to try cultivating awareness with the practice of raising the hand, dynamic or sati meditation. Later, he had a glimpse of awareness, of knowing himself. Can you follow me? Am I difficult to understand? After practicing like this for 1 or 2 hours, the Western student came to see me and shook my hand, saying, "Oh, you are the one that I have been longing to find for many years." Knowing yourself is necessary, because if you do not know yourself you will be overcome by grief, selfishness, anxiety, ill will, and irritation. But once you are aware of yourself, you will be free from these sufferings. What we should learn and cultivate is the experience or state of mind that can liberate us from suffering, so that we can live without suffering. This is what I try to learn. I do not know how to make money or how to increase my pride, I do not search for honor or seek admiration. What I try to learn is the way out of suffering. The experience I mentioned is what we call Dhamma, or the truth. It is the truth that frees us from pain or affliction. It is the Dhamma that leads us to enlightenment, to be totally awakened. The truth, or Dhamma, is what makes one a Buddha. It is an experience can be shared not only by monks, but by everyone. This insight into nature brings us all into the oneness, to be the same. What I tell you is not speculation, but from experience developed by following the path of the Buddha. It is what the Buddha has already said. It is the outcome of the practice that the Buddha developed, the 4 foundations of mindfulness. That is, to be mindful of body, of feelings, of mental formations, thoughts, or emotions, and of all existence in nature. Question: can people who have jobs that require a lot of concentration, such as scientists, maintain awareness while concentrating on what they are doing? Answer: it is possible to have both concentration at work and awareness of what we are doing. In fact, concentration and awareness should go together. You cannot concentrate if you are not aware of your thoughts or of distractions. Once we are mindful, once we are aware of the distractions, we can concentrate because we are able to remove the distractions. Not only does mindfulness help us to concentrate on what we are doing, it also helps us to use our intelligence more effectively. Mindfulness is like the master who tells how to use our intelligence properly. If you do not have mindfulness, or if your mindfulness is very weak, it is not easy to use the intelligence and information that you already have in a beneficial way. Mindfulness is like the software that tells us how to retrieve the information for this purpose. In Thailand, we compare mindfulness to the captain who controls and guides the ship and intelligence to the engine. So the captain controls the engine in the same way that mindfulness controls intelligence, to make the most use of it. So the answer to your question is twofold: mindfulness and awareness are both important. They enable us to concentrate and to use our heads, or our intelligence, properly in a beneficial way. Question: when I have a lot of problems, I seem to lose awareness of my body. Is that okay? Answer: it is normal that at that moment you cannot be aware of your body, but you still have to be aware of the thoughts in your mind. It is okay, because awareness means being aware of both your mind and your body. For those who have to think, it is at that moment that they should be aware of their thoughts, but it is not necessary to be aware of their bodies. Question: when I am reading, I am not aware of anything else. Is that also a form of meditation? Answer: yes, it is a form of meditation, if you hear the noises around you but do not pay attention. If you concentrate on reading, but are aware once you feel something strange outside, and you can turn your attention from your reading to the outside, it is a form of meditation. But, if you concentrate and try to cut yourself off from your surroundings, then, it is not mindfulness meditation. Question: are mindfulness and awareness the same thing? Answer: technically speaking, they are not the same but work together very closely. Mindfulness means sati in Pali. Awareness means sampajanya. But sati and sampajanya are very close, they are twins. In Thailand we call both sati and sampajanya mindfulness. Practically, they are synonyms, but technically, they are different. Question: can you explain the difference? Answer: sati, or mindfulness, means recollection, or calling to mind. Awareness means you know clearly what is going on in your body and mind. They have to be together. Once you collect your mind on some particular moment or movement, you already have the clarity of that movement and of yourself. They go together. Awareness is the consequence of mindfulness. Mindfulness and awareness are the crown, or the peak, of all Dhamma, or all teachings. If we are mindful, if we are aware of ourselves, it is not possible for us to break morality, or sila. Once we are mindful, we are free from distraction, and concentration arises. This is samadhi. With awareness, our minds become clear. With such clarity, insight will arise. This is Panyat. These three are the totality of Buddhist teaching. We call it the threefold training: training in higher morality, in higher concentration, and in higher wisdom. That is why mindfulness and awareness are called the crown of the Buddha's teachings. It is the teaching as a whole. With mindfulness and awareness, samatha and vipassana are possible. Samatha means calmness meditation, vipassana means insight meditation. These two types of meditation are possible with mindfulness and awareness. Question: the atmosphere was so dynamic, going from one thing to another, acquiring one thing and then another. It is desire, get, achieve, I had to leave. I found I was more centered when I reached home than I was at the monastery. Yet, the monastery is based on experience and wisdom, and it is this atmosphere the Buddha wants. I cannot explain why this is valid. I came 2 years ago to Chuangyen. There was the lake and the little pagoda but no statues, and today I come here and find size and quantity. I find a disturbance that was not here before. I am having a hard time placing myself in a peaceful relation to these. Can you comment on this? Answer: there are 4 aspects of Buddhism. The first is the teaching or state of mind that can be realized through the practice. Second is the tradition, customs, conventions, or rituals. Third is the material aspects, like buildings, temples, halls. The fourth aspect is the personnel, monks, nuns, laypersons. I try to emphasize the first aspect of Buddhism, that is the teaching or the experience that can be realized through the teaching. We should concentrate on this aspect. Do not pay much attention to the rest, the rituals, the buildings, or the personnel. If we focus on the teachings and the experience that can be developed from the practice, we will realize ourselves. So, I suggest you do not pay too much attention to the other 3 aspects or they will disturb your mind. It also happens in Thailand. There is much contradiction between teaching and practice, between the teachings and the monks themselves. Sometimes monks behave themselves badly, but this does not mean that you should ignore the Dhamma, the teachings. We have to separate the teachings and the personnel, the buildings, and the rituals. Sometimes the rituals contradict the teachings. Sometimes, monks are self-centered, practicing meditation without concern for the world. If we engage ourselves in these kinds of arguments, we cannot find peace. So, just keep practicing and try to put the teachings into practice. This does not mean that if one individual practices properly, the rest will follow. No, I only suggest that we start with ourselves. If we expect other people to start, if we expect other people will start without beginning with ourselves, then nothing will happen. Let us start with ourselves and then pay attention to the rest. I would like to share my experiences of when I was a young monk, just a beginner, starting to practice Sati meditation 30 years ago. The other monks, my friends, were not serious about the practice. They preferred chatting all the time, and many monks tried to engage me in their conversation. Many things around me were quite irritating, quite annoying. But I decided that I would not pay attention to my surroundings. I behaved myself properly and paid attention only to myself. If I engaged with my surroundings, with my fellow monks, I would not progress in the practice. So I just tried to concentrate on myself and ignore whatever was happening in the monastery. I started with myself first to make progress. But the most important hindrance is internal disturbances, not external ones. Previously, prior to coming to practice this method of meditation, I had practiced the calmness meditation, using my breath as the object of meditation to bring me calmness, a kind of trance and absorption. But when I started practicing Sati meditation 30 years ago, I doubted this method because it never gave me calmness. I was not sure whether I should pursue this method or not. There was a kind of irritation, annoyance, and uncertainty in my mind, which kept me from practicing Sati meditation earnestly, and this hindrance was more serious than any external annoyances. But once I made up my mind that I would practice Sati meditation without questioning, without reasoning, just experiencing directly with mindfulness, I felt that progress in the meditation had been made. So I would like to suggest you be aware of and concerned with the internal hindrances, that are more irritating than any external disturbances. To practice meditation, we have to be prepared to face a lot of problems. Before Buddha became enlightened, there were a lot of devils, or maras. Mara is the deity which tries to subvert or undermine enlightenment. The army of Mara tried to disturb Buddha, to persuade him to stop practicing, even threatening the Buddha. A lot of warriors, a lot of Maras, came to try to overcome the Buddha. But with the strong determination, with the earnest attempt and strong will of the Buddha, he overcame the army of the Mara. So, I would like to encourage you to be prepared, to be determined to overcome all obstacles that you might face during the practice. Question: you talked about the internal disturbances. Could you tell the nature of them and how to control them? Can we be without any thoughts for a minute or even a second? Thoughts are what cause internal disturbances. How can you control them? Answer: try to be mindful, try to be alert and awake, don't follow or be carried away by our internal disturbances. For example, if you feel sleepy or drowsy, do not follow the drowsiness or be carried away by drowsiness. Stand up or rinse your face with water or try to be skillful. Create or invent a method that will enable you to be alert and awake. For instance, when you are sleepy, visualize the illumination of the sky, picturing a radiant sky. This will enable you to awake from drowsiness. Drowsiness is the first hindrance, or nivarana in Pali. Nivarana means hindrances that keep you from progressing in the path of enlightenment. Besides drowsiness, there are also irritation, restlessness, sensual desire, and ill will. These are the 5 hindrances that disturb you, and you should be prepared to deal with them. But first of all, you should realize that you are able to put an end to the hindrances. They will not haunt you permanently. With this hope, you can encourage yourself to not to fall under their control. These unwholesome qualities can be transformed. Irritation, drowsiness, restlessness, and annoyance can be transformed by mindfulness. Drowsiness can be transformed into awakening, laziness can be transformed into diligence, irritation can be transformed into peace. It is in our capacity to do that. But if you are skillful and learn how to encounter these unwholesome qualities with mindfulness, you will realize that all of these disturbing qualities can bring us wisdom. They can be our teachers. Drowsiness can teach us to be more intelligent. Irritation can teach us to be wiser. These can be accomplished by cultivating mindfulness. Do you want to try? Tomorrow we will start a 7-day retreat. I will take care of you if you would like to try, and I will not mislead you. I assure you that I will lead you down the right path. Question: why do you call it Sati meditation? It is supposed to be very calm and quiet. Answer: there are 2 kinds of meditation. Calmness meditation is one, but there is another kind of meditation that asks us to pay attention to awareness. What I teach is to encourage one to pay attention to awareness of the body's movements, taking bodily movement as the object of meditation to train one to be mindful. To pay attention or be aware of whatever movement you are making, whether you are standing or walking, pay attention. You are mindful of that present movement, it is the object of meditation. It is called Sati meditation, because it uses the body's movement as the object of meditation. It is called Sati because we do not sit in stillness, but create bodily postures as the object of meditation. Driving can be a form of meditation. Reading is also a form of meditation if you read properly. Sewing is too, as when I try to sew my robe for 9 days. Meditation is to pay attention to one thing with full awareness. Meditation is not necessarily closing your eyes and crossing your legs. Question: you said mental awareness of bodily motions was important. What if you are aware of something around you? Answer: in this practice, we are aware of our body's movement. This is the main posture, the main activity. But we are also ready to be aware of other things, either in our minds or outside in our surroundings. For example, when I am practicing, if a friend comes to ask for a needle to sew his clothes, I am ready to give him the needle while still keeping with the practice without talking to him. I just stand up and find the needle for him. After giving him the needle, I return to my practice. It means that I am ready to respond or to be aware of anything that occurs to me internally or externally. I do not cut myself off from my surroundings but am ready to hear the noises. If there is nothing special, I just pay attention to my bodily movement. Question: you are also a social worker. Do you teach Sati meditation to the people you serve, and how effective is it in helping them? Answer: I teach many who are receptive to my teachings, but there are still a lot who do not practice what I try to teach, because they are busy, occupied with their careers. Most of them are busy farmers with no opportunity to practice. I myself have to preserve the forest by my temple, keeping the illegal loggers away. Sometimes I try to teach them meditation too, but it is not easy. Drug addiction is also a problem in my village. I try to recruit the young villagers who are addicted to drugs to enter the monkhood, and train them for a month. They are okay when they are monks, but when they disrobe they become addicted again. I do not know how to help them. Thai villages are transforming. A lot of modern illnesses and problems are arising on the village level. Not only poverty, which is the last problem. The new problems are drugs, divorce, the breakdown of the family and the rise of single-parent families. These kinds of problems are spreading even in the villages. Our village is quite remote but still has such problems. Now, only the old and the children are in the villages. The young people, both men and women, have gone to the city. The village is going to break down. Community life is breaking down. I hope that America will be the center of Buddhism in the future. Is that too optimistic? But it is possible, because the American people are intelligent and earnest in their practice of Buddhism. Question: can Luangpor elaborate more? Why will America be the center of Buddhism in the future? Answer: American people are intelligent. They also take meditation seriously compared to the villagers. For example, in my area, the villagers have to go out to the fields really early in the morning, cutting the sugar cane, so they have no time to visit the temple. They are busy all the time. But here, many of you live far away but can still spare the time to come here to practice meditation, while my villagers living next door to the temple have never showed up. June 8, 1997. Realizing the true nature. This is a good opportunity for all of us here, to practice in order to understand and realize the true nature of ourselves, and the true nature of reality. There are a lot of people that cannot spare the time to practice here, but all of us here are committed to the practice. So, from now on, I would like to give meditation instructions. In the time of the Buddha, we did not have a tag that says, silent meditation to refrain from conversing with others. But it is in accordance with the principle that the Buddha established, that it is good for one to not see, hear, or talk while he is practicing meditation. If we have to speak, we should speak mindfully; if we have to see, we should see mindfully; if we have to hear, we should hear mindfully. We come here to practice meditation, to cultivate mindfulness. Mindfulness is already a quality of our mind. Practicing meditation to cultivate mindfulness, we encounter a lot of obstacles, a lot of disturbances both in our minds and from the outside. So we should learn how to cope with them skillfully. For example, when you practice, you may feel pain, be tense, or tired after sitting for a long time. You need to change your posture, changing your position from sitting to standing or walking. But before standing up, you should remind yourself to stand up mindfully. Do not stand up out of habit or stand up unconsciously, but do it mindfully, with full awareness. This is the technique that I would like to share with you. Try to allow mindfulness to guide our behavior. When we are tired of walking and would like to sit, we should be aware of the desire to sit. The desire to sit and the awareness of it are different. With awareness, we can see our desire, our need to sit. Once we can see clearly, we are aware of our desire to sit, then we start to sit. This is how we use mindfulness to lead or guide our behavior. Do not be overwhelmed by feelings of pain, tension, or physical strain. Try to resist our habitual tendencies, because our habitual tendencies will lead us to delusion, to forgetfulness, and to ignorance. It is tempting to abandon our practice, so we have to resist, to go against the stream of habit. For example, before the Buddha's enlightenment, he sat near a stream and was determined to practice to the end until he reached enlightenment. Since he was not sure whether he would achieve enlightenment or not, he put a plate on the stream to see whether it could go against the stream or not. If it could go against the stream, that would mean he would achieve enlightenment, and he found that the plate could go against the stream. This is analogous to his determination to resist the habitual tendencies, which led him to enlightenment. So, I would like you to try to follow his path, to always be aware. Be constantly aware of your body's movements. When you raise or move your hand, keep being aware of your body's movement. Do not let yourself stuck on anything else, be it high or low, pleasant or painful. Just be aware of your body's movements. For beginners, I would like to suggest you meditate in two postures, sitting and walking, sitting and moving your hands in a rhythmic pattern. But, if you want to try to meditate with breathing, and you feel that it can develop your mindfulness, that is fine. However, I would like you to practice in only two postures. Try not to use the lying posture because it is not good for mindfulness. Also, in daily life, keep practicing mindfulness when you are changing your posture. For example, when you go to the dining hall or to the toilet, be mindful in every posture, in every movement you make, whether it be in this room or outside. Avoid judging whether this is right or wrong, or keeping asking yourself, am I doing this correctly? Try to avoid the sense of right or wrong. Keep practicing, simply practice. Do not be anxious. Avoid skeptical doubts. Just keep practicing and try to be aware of what you are doing. That is all. It is not too complicated. For beginners, avoid worrying about the method, because it will obstruct your practice. Just go ahead and practice and you will learn from your experiences. Otherwise, you will keep questioning yourselves and halt your practice. If you have questions, feel unsure, or feel doubt about the practice, come to see me. Do not ask other people. Do not worry about right or wrong, do not keep asking yourself whether you are practicing right or wrong. Your direct experience will tell you. The truth will reveal itself. When you practice, you become aware of mind and body. The insight into your mind and body, the insight into the nature of mind and body, will tell you without your asking yourself whether this is right or wrong. Let the direct experience tell you. Question: what is awareness? Answer: awareness is to be aware of the sensations of the body, to be aware of what you are doing at the present moment, whether it be eating, or some particular meditation object that you choose, such as breathing. If you choose breathing as the object of meditation, you become aware of that. That is the awareness that I mentioned. Just be aware of the whole process, not the details. Place your hand on your thigh. Are you aware of it? Right hand up. Are you aware? Just be aware that your hand is on your thigh, that is okay. Then, raise it up and move it to your abdomen. Turn up your left hand. Be aware. Raise it up and move it to your abdomen. Move your right hand to your chest. Turn it out and lower it to your thigh, and turn it down. Raise your left hand to your chest, turn it out, lower it, turn it down. Again. Are you really aware of the movement of your hand? Do you just think that you are aware, or do you really experience the awareness? Now, pay attention to your breathing. Inhale, exhale. Can you feel the sensation at the tip of your nose or at your abdomen? Question: can one observe the tip of his nose and abdomen at the same time? Answer: you have to choose. How is your awareness? It does not matter what object you are going to be aware of. You can move or shake your fingers and use them as the object of your awareness. It is the same awareness. You can apply it to other positions or other postures. Try whatever gives you clear awareness. Sometimes you may feel doubts, and the awareness is not clear after practicing for a length of time. You may need to change your posture, to raise your hand, to touch your body, or to breathe, changing your object of meditation to breathing. Just be aware when you are changing your posture, so you feel the new sensation. But this is only temporary. Afterward, you will resume your main posture, sitting or walking. After repeating it, you may feel drowsy because of the repetition. You become sleepy. You need to change and then resume the main posture. It is a technique to awaken yourself so that you can have clear awareness. Awareness becomes clearer and clearer with your alertness. It is enjoyable if you try to use variations, try to initiate, invent, or apply many things to yourselves to solve your problems. You will enjoy this and be at ease. Easy. My master sometimes changed to the posture of paying respect to be alert, to awaken himself. As for walking meditation, try to either fold your arms across your chest or clasp your hands behind your back, and walk not too slowly and not too quickly, about 8 to 12 steps. Do not gaze too far. Do not lower your head too much. Just stare at the floor about 2 meters from your feet. If you gaze too far, you will be distracted, but if you lower your head too much, you will feel tense. Feel free to choose any posture you like, but try to spend a length of time with the posture you choose. Do not keep on moving or changing all the time. When you feel tired with a posture, do not change it suddenly. Try to delay, to go beyond the time limit, try to go a little bit further. If you feel tired and you change postures right away, that is not good. Try.
May all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born. May all beings be at ease.